Good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's because you guys didn't have beer in the receptions why you guys don't have energy. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm so excited to be your host. Tonight, I'm Micae Brown, and welcome to the 2016 State of the Black Tech Ecosystem. Well, kind of like that. I just made up what I wanted. You guys know that it's a 2016 State of Black Tech. All right, so there's a couple of housekeeping things. Since its inception, Black Tech Mecca has been trying to grow a very strong social media audience. It's very important because you guys want to know what's going on in the community, right? They want to inform you. How would you know if you didn't follow them on Instagram, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera? So everybody, take out your phone. No, this is like active. We all have mobile devices. Take out your phone. I want you to follow @Black Tech Mecca, especially on Twitter, because we will be doing a live Twitter party. So you'll be able to ask your questions, and it's going to come up on the screen later. Don't you love Google? Can we talk about the technology? I'm not used to all of this, you know? So Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, please follow them. And the hashtags are listed. Do you need me to read them for you? No? That was funny. Like, come on, what's going on here? All right. So a special thanks to Google. Google is committed to supporting computer science and entrepreneurship education for students from all backgrounds and neighborhoods throughout Chicago. They have been a huge supporter of Black Tech Mecca and sponsoring this event. So let's give Google a round of applause for making this event happen. All right, another cool tool to use. And I really like this one. Believe it or not, I have a fear of meeting people. Do you guys believe me? No, I legit do. So, but I kind of like mask it, which is why you sometimes participate in adult libations before you go to a networking event. But there is a really cool app called Convo. It's spelled Konveau. They have it up there. Look at that. You guys are really great. What's cool about this is for those that you may not even have a fear. If you have a fear of meeting new people, wouldn't you like to know the person you're sitting next to so you can figure out that icebreaker? Convo gives you all of the information of the people around you at a particular networking event. So I dare you to download it, use it, and stalk the people next to you. So it's kind of like a professional Tinder, right? That was good. And I wasn't even trying to be funny, but there is nothing else I could use to describe it. How many of you guys know why you're here tonight? Are you kidding? So all you have to do is put it together, Eventbrite, and say Black Tech Mecca, and you guys will come? Okay. So what if I was here to do something negative? Not okay, but I'm here to do something positive. You are here tonight because we just need to disrupt the atmosphere in Chicago and nationwide, right? We're disrupting things. We're here to put on blast the great people that are doing excellent things, specifically in the technology community, and specifically as it pertains to the minority community. So we're here to, A, showcase the talent, B, put the talent in front of great resources, and C, give them exposure necessary to continue to grow. Whether it's gain new clients, get followers, people that download the app, i.e. Combo, they should have like 300 downloads by the end of tonight. Did you guys download it? No? Okay, well please do so. I see we are not into following instructions, but that's okay. You guys must have all went to Montessori school. All right. So I'm so glad you guys are laughing at my jokes. This is great. All right, so you're probably wondering why I am here and why they chose me to host the show event. It is a show right now because it is being filmed. Periscope, so there's live Periscope stuff going on. You are being recorded, so please don't say anything that your mother wouldn't want you to put on social media. But I'm here because, for those of you all don't know, I work with WVON. Thank you. Hello, the only African-American owned radio station in Chicago. Hello. Located on the south side of Chicago that just talks about all things that happened in Chicago. And I host a show called the Urban Business Roundtable where we feature the African-American entrepreneurial business community nationwide. I also host another show called the Micae Brown Report, which you can find online, or you can follow me at Micae Brown, right? And I showcase multicultural and women entrepreneurs. So this is important to me Number one, because this is like a great lead book for people for me to feature. So thank you, Black Tech Mecca, for helping my job be a little bit easier in finding great talent in Chicago. But number two, it's just really important for us to for me, to see what's going on and to put on blast the great people that are doing good things in the community, because we're not seeing enough positive stuff, right? So speaking of positive, the person I'm bringing up, let me just tell you, the past treasurer, who I love dearly, Stephanie Neely, let's give her a round of applause. She was awesome. Let me tell you something that I like about Treasurer Kurt Summers. He is real. Like, real as real can be. Any of you guys can go up to this guy right now and say, hey, I have a question. This person manages $7 billion, okay? He's Black, he's from Chicago, he's real, he's freaking cool, and he's here to share. Hello, he's freaking cool. Can we give a round of applause for being cool? So it's like a lot of our politicians, I'm like, oh, are you cool? Can I talk to you? But you really can. And he's here to share with you exactly what's going on on the back end and how we can go about continuing to foster great Black tech businesses in Chicago. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, good evening. Good evening. So my sister's in the audience. I want to make sure you heard I'm cool. I just want to make sure she's back there shaking her head, like not the case. I want to thank Fabian for his work and tenacity and vision in helping pull this together. Certainly want to help Micae. Let's give her a round of applause. Dynamic, talented young woman who's on the scene in the great history of folks that we have in that business in Chicago. Originally, I was going to be here toward the back end of this and after the speeches, and we moved things around because I wanted to come up front and kind of set the tone. And hopefully everybody here, it's just, you guys are a great crowd. It's great to see so many people here on a weeknight. I heard it was like sold out, hard to get. I had people calling me for tickets, so good on you for being here. But I wanted to set the tone. And when I started thinking about tonight, I thought about names like John Johnson and Ed Garner and George Johnson and John Rogers and Jim Reynolds. I thought about the history of Black entrepreneurs that we have in Chicago, the example that we've been for the rest of the country, really for the last century. Entire industries were started out of Chicago. A new way of thinking and wealth creation was created in the last several generations by Chicago entrepreneurs that happen to be Black. And these people not only influenced jobs in our communities, they influenced politics, they influenced the outcome of elections. They got us our first Black mayor over 30 years ago, and they have led to a base that creates the shoulders that we all stand on. I'm reminded by that, and I can tell you they never had the power of what we have in this room. So if they can do that, imagine what we can do. That's worth clapping for. Imagine what we can do. Aiming for Chicago to be the Mecca for Black tech is only fitting because it's our history. It's our right, and it's there for us. Unfortunately, it's also the case that we don't have a choice. When you think about the wealth disparity gap in this city, where white families have a wealth of 15 to 1 what Black families do. When you think about what was reported by the press earlier this week, a report that came out that said half of young Black men in this city are out of work and out of school. Half of an entire population that represents one of the largest, if not the largest, groups in the city. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice but to be better. We don't have a choice but to leverage this platform. We don't have a choice but to leverage the power in this room that people who built amazing businesses, were tremendous leaders, did great things for our city, for our communities in the past, didn't have. So shame on us if we can't do it. honestly, that's why I'm all in. And that's why I wanted to come and talk to you first. As the only citywide Black elected official, my view is if we don't leverage this platform that we all have, if we don't leverage this time and this season, shame on us. And by platform, I mean an ability to access capital. Micae talked about, I manage $7 billion in my office. I sit on a handful of the local pension boards that manage another $25 billion. I came from a private equity and hedge fund investor that managed $50 billion. There's probably not a single equity investor, large institutional investor, capital provider in this country we can't get to. If we can't leverage this platform, shame on us, right? And it's not just access to capital. So I view our ability to impact each other, but certainly to leverage this platform as having 4 different components. We can impact capital, we can impact the cost of doing business, we can impact people's capacity to be great in their industry and be sector leaders and be the best in the world at what they do. We can also impact customers. We have some of the largest and best Fortune 500 companies in the world right here in Chicago. Shame on us if we don't leverage this platform. Shame on us if you don't leverage me, honestly, in my office. I was looking at the program and it talked about connecting people, communities, and organizations, and I want to be the first to volunteer that you need to connect institutions. And you need to connect institutions where you have advocates and where you have real influence and where those institutions have real leverage in the marketplace. In each of those ways that can help you grow your business as we build this ecosystem and we take our rightful place as the Mecca of Black technology. Chicago is a hotbed for tech activity. You guys have all seen it. So many of you have been in or some are housed in 1871. I saw Mark Harris from the ISTC here. Mark and I were Dunn Fellows together back in the day, some years ago in state government. Don't let the baby face fool you. And it's great to see him here. We have thousands and thousands of new tech jobs that get created every year. Hundreds of startups. The state treasurer just announced $225 million of new venture capital this week. Earlier this year, a new VC fund, first $100 million launch here in Chicago. The capital is there, the talent is there. And I tell people all the time, we don't have a talent gap in the Black community. We have an opportunity gap. But we can solve so much of that gap just in this room. We can solve so much of that gap by figuring out how to leverage the institutions that are available to us, the people that are available to us, and the people who are not confused about who they are and who they fight for, who they work for, and what they need to do. And I count myself as one of those folks. And here's why. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I'm a product of Chicago Public Schools, went to Whitney Young. Anybody? Come on, Whitney Young? All right, there's a couple of y'all, it better be. I had to do that. My sister went to Kenwood, so I had to here we go. I love having these opportunities to do that publicly and rib her a little bit. But I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I grew up in what's now called Bronzeville. Back then we called it the low end. Right? Okay, maybe we still do. I grew up on 48th and King Drive, 47th and Michigan. I grew up on blocks that look almost the same today as they did 30 years ago. And I was blessed then because I had a family that valued education. Neither of my parents graduated from college, but they instilled the importance of education in me. For a time I lived with my aunts and my grandfather. I'd come home as a kid. There's no TV, there's no snack for me until you finish your homework. That was the hedge of protection that was around me. And I had people in my family, my grandfather, who was a campaign manager for Harold Washington, who helped explain to me the impact of business leaders and the policy for communities like ours. Because I was the kid who had a bit of a smart mouth, and I'd ask questions when I'd go on field trips to Lincoln Park Zoo, field trips downtown, and I'd say, why does that neighborhood look different from ours? Why are they worthy of investment and we're not? Why are they all employed and we're not? They should look happy. So I asked that question, and I knew from a young age that my craft and that God had blessed me with an ability to, have a proficiency in math, and I was fascinated by markets. My favorite restaurant growing up was McDonald's. I'm like John Rogers, and it was a treat because we were kind of poor, so we didn't get to go to McDonald's that often. And we come home, and kids would be playing with their Happy Meals, and again, I was that kid, and I'd say, if we like McDonald's so much, why don't we own some McDonald's stock? Who makes money when we eat at McDonald's? It's a treat to us. Who benefits? No knock to McDonald's, I still love it. But that's a real question. And I knew from the age of 16 that I wanted to be an investment banker because I was in a summer program called Inroads, and I took a test. Y'all know Inroads? Okay, cool. I took a test, and they asked you a bunch of questions, and it spit out, what careers might be of interest to you. And honestly, I went down this list, and it was like clerical, accountant, bank teller, blah, 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 blah. And the sexiest one I saw on there was investment banker. So I said, that's what I want to be. That sounds cool. Art, don't laugh, man. But the problem was at age 16, as a black man in the city of Chicago, I didn't have an example of an investment banker. I didn't have an example walking down my block of what I wanted to be. And like I said in the beginning, see, we have resources now, we have things now that they didn't have then, that we didn't have then as kids. Shame on us if we're not that example for the 16-year-old today. Every person in this room has the power to be what we didn't have, the power to be the example of what young people can be and imagine even what they haven't seen. My belief is that if we don't leverage each other, if we don't leverage my office, honestly, again, this is a platform, I'm being, as Micae said, I keep it real, I'm being real. You have one citywide black elected official. Don't leverage it, shame on you. If I don't help you figure it out, shame on me. But together, if we don't figure this out and help achieve the vision of the people who created this, the people you're going to hear from tonight, the other people in this room, shame on us. I'm here to tell you that I'm all in, and I hope that you can, in addition to connecting people and organizations and companies, connect with institutions and leaders who are here to advocate for you, who aren't confused about where they came from and what we all need to do. Thank you.
Okay, so isn't he so freaking cool? Round of applause for cool. Round of applause for being real. All right, so that was, just so you know, and don't be mad at me, Treasurer Summers, that was like an open book. If anybody comes up here with such power and says, hey, I'm here to help you, if you don't leverage this, it's for real, shame on you, and I will leverage it for you, and I'll just take all the goods. All right, so now I hope you have a better understanding of what Black Tech Mecca is trying to accomplish in the community. They're asking me to say a whole bunch of words, but it really doesn't matter because there's this video that truly sums it up, so that's what's coming up next.
The Black tech ecosystem are all of the players who are in the space of developing, fortifying, and exposing technology makers.
It's like any other ecosystem where you have a number of different factors, right? And those factors have to come together to create an environment where there's life and where there's growth. How we're going to change that in the future with a healthy ecosystem is exposing young people to the opportunities that are out there for them before they go into college.
So if I think about a technology ecosystem, that's probably looking like education, investment, products, companies, people, community, all involved with one another to support the existence of one another.
I feel like the state of the Black tech ecosystem in Chicago is great. It's obviously, there's always going to be room for improvement, but we compare Chicago with other cities and some of the initiatives that are taking place in Chicago. Chicago's on the forefront of a lot of things, and I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for that.
I think that in the past it's been a little bit fragmented and disjointed. But I'm happy to say that I think it's getting better. I think that there's a great need for Black Tech Mecca, right? And it's really important because so many folks are doing such important work and we don't even know about each other. There's also the element of sort of I've got to build mine versus collaborating and working with others. And there's such a great need for us to do that in order for us to come together and really be a force in technology and entrepreneurship. We have to find the unification.
Yeah, I think right now everybody wants to say that the only tech people are the folks that are college educated, that are doing very well for themselves, and they just came over from consulting and now they're tech. But at the same time, everybody can excel in the space, and it's a matter of just how much time you put into it. Are the pathways consistent? Are you putting in the right pre-apprenticeship programs, the right apprenticeship programs to ensure that folks have those opportunities to be able to learn? And other cities are providing those opportunities. One, for instance, there's an initiative out of the White House called the Tech Hire Initiative, which is all about apprenticeship programs with the Department of Labor to ensure that folks can actually fill these tech jobs. Chicago's not one of those cities. Why not?
Capital. Oh, and capital, right? And I don't know if I mentioned that, capital.
We need better branding around blacks in tech. We need better branding to the government and the foundations to say, you know, take some investment in this. Real investment, real dollars, not just, you know, a $50,000 grant that does nothing for the state of blacks in tech in Chicago. It does nothing when other cities are investing millions of dollars to make this stuff happen.
We can build products, you can learn how to develop, but without capital, it's very difficult to assemble a team. Without capital, it's very difficult to continue to grow into a more, a stronger organization.
Ultimately, what we're talking about is building wealth. We need a strong economic base so that we can have strong families, you know, so that we can have strong individuals, so that we can grow and have sustainable communities.
I think that until we become the makers, we will be enslaved to those who make for us. Because the shift from consumer to a maker is power.
I think that the impact that Black Tech Mecca and the development of a thriving Black ecosystem could be of tremendous benefit to the city of Chicago on so many levels. Our ecosystem is not existing by itself. It's within a larger ecosystem. And there's a strong effort to make Chicago the tech Mecca. You know, on high political and governmental and corporate levels, they want that to happen here. So what we want to be able to do is to make sure that we benefit from that. And then what we bring to that is we bring diversity. Why is that diversity needed? Because the money that's being generated here, so much of it comes from minority communities. By having more African Americans involved in corporations, in advertising, in marketing, and all these technological areas, whether it's science, technology, engineering, math, that's going to help corporations and businesses be able to relate and be able to communicate and also be able to maintain African American and other minority customers.
I think we have to begin to show examples of community residents solving community-related problems with technology. Imagine what happens when we see that young African-American girl, 9 years old, build an app that's completely sweeping through middle schools across the country, right? What does that mean for other middle school students that see her and see that product that she built and see how many people use it, and her talk about the metrics that she's getting, user engagement, what does that look like? And we see the empowerment that she has.
It's both leadership and technology. How do we marry both of these things? Technology on its own, just teaching programming, there are plenty of great schools that do that. But the real power, the humming comes from when we marry those together and say, we're not just developing the next generation of technologists. It's about community leadership. It's about the next generation of entrepreneurs who understand that at the end of the day, leadership is making opportunities for others.
I really wanted there to be more. That was so deep. Shout out to Nicole Benson who put that together. Did she? Yes? I'm so glad you guys are back. Welcome. Hey. So we needed this. We needed the energy because who I am about to introduce, I really like this guy. Here's why. Going rogue again. This is someone, and we should slightly be ashamed, who is not from Chicago, that cares more about Chicago than some Chicagoans and what happens in our ecosystem. This is a Southern boy who worked at Google, who's doing some cool ad things, analytics, and decided that it's a shame that we're not doing enough in Black tech. Hello, are you guys ashamed? Are we gonna start leveraging our relationships now? Are we gonna start participating? Did you follow at Black Tech Mecca to start that? Okay, so Fabian Elliott is a hybrid entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Black Tech Mecca and an advertising technology consultant at Google. His passion for Black empowerment through technology led him to play a key role in revamping, revitalizing, and rebranding of Google's Black employee group and recently completed his term as inaugurally appointed global co-chair. That deserves a round of applause. His latest endeavor entails transferring what he was able to create within a company to the city he has come to love by leading the charge to transform Chicago into the global Black Tech Mecca. Outside of the tech world, Fabian is past secretary of 100 Black Men of Chicago, next generation board member of American Civil Liberty. I guess you were part of that group. You can go ahead and clap. And is also a member of Chicago Council of Global Affairs. And he's fly, he has on some of the coolest shoes. So I'm very excited to introduce the founder and the CEO, and the reason why we're all here, including, supporting Black people in tech, Fabian Elliott. Where you at?
Go this way. All right. Oh, hey, guys. Yeah. Wasn't expecting this. Good stuff. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, look. Oh. Where's the camera at? There we go. There we go. You get the other side. Okay. There we go. All right, you got that? You good, Nick? Okay, perfect. Man, we're going to church today. I had no clue we were gonna kick it off like this, but I'm loving every minute of it. Kurt stole half of my stats, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna say right now, but no, this is fantastic. Micae's doing a great job. You can probably see why we selected her to host it. Easy decision. She went off script. I absolutely loved it, and there's probably going to be a bit more of that as we go on too. But on my end, I'll be quick. I just wanted to take a second to set the tone before we have our amazing speakers be able to tell you about what they're working on this year. So to just kick things off, it was mentioned earlier today, but I just wanted to pose a simple question on why you are in the room tonight. And I just want that to settle for a bit, and I'm gonna swing back to it in a few minutes and give you my perspective on that piece. So as we touched on, the purpose of tonight's event is to demystify and do a pulse check on a very, very important topic. And that topic is the black tech ecosystem here in Chicago. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, some of you, why does that even really matter? How does that fit into the big picture? And so on my end and at Black Tech Mecca, we believe that building a thriving black tech ecosystem is vital for the future of Chicago, absolutely vital. And when we say a thriving black tech ecosystem, we're thinking, or what we mean is an ecosystem where blacks are able to leverage technology to improve their lives, whether it's to solve community issues or whether it's for financial gain. We think about an ecosystem where there's a collaborative culture, resources are aligned, and people have guidance to be able to go from zero to hero if they're willing to dedicate themselves. And lastly, an ecosystem that serves as a competitive advantage for the greater Chicago tech ecosystem and the city as a whole. And we believe this is also vital to the city for three simple reasons. The black community needs it, the city needs it, and believe it or not, the world needs it. Starting with the first piece, this is where Kurt really just wiped all my stats. So we already know. We know some of the challenges that are facing the black community, and a lot of them are rooted in economics. A lot of them are rooted there. But the interesting piece is that these challenges are happening in the very city that's ranked the number 4 most powerful economic city on the planet. These things are happening in a city, as Kurt said, where the Chicago tech community and the sector is absolutely booming. And so it makes you wonder that there's obviously opportunities, but there's some serious disconnect. Something's not quite right. The ecosystem isn't healthy. And so transitioning to the city, so many of you might know that the mayor has a very bold vision for Chicago to be a city fueled by technology. And what he means by that is a city where we've realized our full potential for technology to fuel opportunity, inclusion, engagement, and innovation for all. Not opportunity, inclusion, engagement, and innovation for some. Not opportunity, innovation, engagement, and inclusion for many, but for all. However, the for all part is a bit difficult. It can be challenging when there's a third of the city's population, the black community, that's not able to navigate the Chicago tech ecosystem to be successful. And until the proper changes are made to correct this, the vision that we have for the city, the Chicago Tech Plan, it'll continue to be a dream, and we'll never be able to see it come to pass. So, beyond Chicago, looking at the global scene, we have the opportunity to actually be an example to the world. The Black Tech Ecosystem Challenge is not unique to Chicago. The Black Tech Ecosystem Challenge is not unique to the United States of America. It's actually a harsh reality internationally. I've actually seen it firsthand in my exploration of the black tech scene in key markets across 4 different continents, where the black tech professional struggles to be able to secure opportunities at top companies, even when the population is majority black. The black tech entrepreneur struggles to obtain the resources and support they need, no matter where they're located. Black youth lack appropriate exposure to career paths and skills to be able to get the right training, no matter where they call home. This is a global phenomenon, but with dedication and innovation, it is possible to overturn it. And we're fortunate to have a history of innovation right here in the city, and we've tackled tough challenges before. To fix a water supply issue, back in 1900, we reversed the entire direction of the Chicago River. Back in 1884, to deal with limited resources for building buildings, we constructed the first skyscraper ever. The list goes on and on. Before us today, we have an opportunity to build yet another great thing right here in Chicago, a world-class ecosystem. And as I close, building a thriving black tech ecosystem is vital for the future of Chicago. If you still have any doubts, we can continue to dialogue over some cold ones at Bar Taquito afterwards, and we can go into some more facts and you'll see what's happening on that front. But going back to my earlier question on why you are here tonight, We're all here from different walks of life. And I like to believe that we all have one thing in common. We want to push Chicago forward. We want to play our parts in making it a better place. And tonight, we've done our very best to set the stage for you guys and provide an opportunity for you to do just that. So I urge you all to listen to our amazing speakers tonight. I urge you all to take a valiant attempt to be able to catch their vision. And I urge you all to be able to consider taking part in a worthwhile movement that could really change lives, the city, and eventually the world. Thank you.
All right, so I didn't want to like come across the stage like this. Earlier, I got a run in my pantyhose. So for all of you noticed, yes, I have a run, okay? It's like always you feel so self-conscious when you have like a run and you're like, do you take your pantyhose off? But then it looks like you don't have any sense because you're not wearing pantyhose. So I didn't want you guys to think that I wasn't wearing any, so I kept the runny pantyhose on. So the elephant is out. All right, so aren't you guys so excited? And like, you guys are laughing. I was like, man, these people are gonna see this run in my pantyhose. And then that would be like the one thing that you guys remember, that this girl didn't do the dap, she had a run. So I talked about myself. All right, I'm really excited for you guys to learn more about who's gonna be here. Aren't you guys like wondering who's in that pamphlet and why they're credible and why we care about them? Well, first up, they were telling me to say some other things, so which I will say. So now it's time to hear from some of the leaders committed to driving change in the Black tech ecosystem. They will share their vision for 2016, their niche in the ecosystem by the problem that they are solving for opportunities that they're creating, and how you can engage and support some of their awesome work. Y'all kind of got that from my rogue version, right? But they probably needed like a clean version to use for promotional purposes. All right, so Thomas K.R. Stovall, and I kept the K.R. in there, I know you're very picky about how you're introduced, is the founder of Candid Cup, a Chicago-based technology firm in the forefront of thought leadership and microfeedback industry. Thomas is also the leader of ImBlackInTech, not to be confused with Black Tech Mecca, a Chicago-based business amplification event series for founders and professionals in color in the technology industry, which hosts, listen to this, the largest ongoing technology panel for founders of color in the Midwest. Drops mic. Can we give him a round of applause? Come on up. You're welcome.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. I was a little bit nervous earlier, and I heard Kurt Summers talk, and it reminded me about why I was here. And I'm feeling very comfortable to talk to you guys this evening about what we're doing in Chicago. So a snapshot about me, been an entrepreneur since I was 19. I built my first 7-figure business by the time I was 27, lost it by the time I was 30. And I had no mentorship. That's why I'm so invested in service. Because if you don't have somebody telling you, say this, say that, don't do this, don't do that, it's very easy to fall in gaps. So a little bit about Black in Tech. We'll dive right into it. Black in Tech is an event series. We do host events for people of color in tech, both on the professional side, that's the corporate series, and the founder series is for people who are looking to grow a technology-based business that they started. So the founder series is the largest ongoing quarterly technology panel in the Midwest. We host that at 1871. They're the #1 university-affiliated business incubator in the nation, #4 in the world. They're our partner on it. Also, we host the corporate series, and we bring in people to host this blueprint that are corporate professionals that are top tier in their category as well. And so just to give you a snapshot of what the panelists look like that we bring out, Founder Series Volume 2, which took place in October, this is one of our panelists. His name is Rodney Williams. He's ranked number 12 on the CNBC 50 Top Disruptors list, right behind the guys from Airbnb, Google. He's got a sound wave technology replacing Bluetooth. The founders that have been on our stage have raised and generated over $35 million. So it's not small business. And what they do is they come out and they pull back the red curtain and they say, I know you guys see all this great press and all these contracts. Let's talk about version 1 of my product before I had any money, how I got it built. Let's talk about how we got dollar number 1 in the bank. So it's very grassroots, down to earth. and people come in about 150 to 200 per quarter and find out how they can actually grow their business. Moving right along. So that's how you can follow us. We're at ImBlackInTech on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, as well as on Periscope. We're actually live streaming right now. So let me tell you a little bit about what Black in Tech is not. So we're not a business, we're not a nonprofit, we're not an organization, we're not an entity. I run a business, I own a micro feedback company. We help large organizations to get instant feedback in context across their enterprise using little micro surveys, one question surveys. You'll get a little example of that at the end of this presentation. We turn large rooms into instant focus groups in about 30 seconds. So that's what we do. What Black in Tech is, event series, that's it. So I want to be very specific about that, and you'll learn a little bit more about why I'm so specific about that in a moment. Black in Tech exists to provide acceleration blueprints. And what I mean by that is literally step by step. I don't have to know the physiology of why if I do push-ups, my muscles get big. All I have to do is do the push-ups. So we focus on really showing people step by step, quarter by quarter, digging into 3 or 4 pieces out of a blueprint inside of stories from founders who've built it, how they can actually build their business. That's what I mean by a blueprint. And on the corporate side, it's the exact same thing. People who want to become mid-6-figure earners, here's the blueprint for how you actually navigate that in the corporate world. So our primary focus is on founders and starters. A founder is somebody who runs a revenue-generating tech business. A starter is someone who's still in idea stage or in product development stage, but they ain't made no money. That's really the difference. There are 5 things that I feel like need to happen in order for us to really create a level playing field for Black people in technology here in Chicago as well as beyond. Number 1, we have to close the knowledge gap. I meet so many young entrepreneurs of color right here in Chicago that are passionate, that are well-intended, that are willing to outwork anybody, but they're driving around real fast in a car with 3 wheels on, and they're going in circles because nobody's told them the basics of how to transact. And so number 1, we host events like Black in Tech to really teach that foundational business knowledge that you need to be able to grow your business. Because if you can't get money in the door in the beginning, there's no scaling anything. So we focus on early stage businesses and creating competent entrepreneurs. Number 2, we have to create consistent access to capital. So as Mr. Summers said, there's plenty of money in Chicago, but what we need are people who are willing, able, and committed to investing in people of color and technology. We got to get them tied to our community in a way that allows people who are growing something to know who to call and who to put their product in front of when it's time to raise money. Number 3, we need opportunity sourcing and leveraging relationships with centers of influence. What I mean by that, opportunity sourcing, what that looks like in practice is 3 to 4 corporations who are willing to commit to it on paper to cutting maybe a $4,000 or $5,000 check per quarter to a couple companies that we can put in the dark corner of their enterprise in a department somewhere and say, look, we're gonna give you a little 90-day beta trial, and we're gonna see if you can perform, and if it does well, we'll help you expand inside the organization. If it doesn't, we did our community service for the quarter, no harm, no foul. And so that early stage momentum really helps the community grow, and they can also take that knowledge back to the community and say, look, here's what it looks like to do business with a Bayer or with a Boeing. When you actually get a contract, that doesn't mean you have money in the bank. There's 60 days, so if you're planning on paying some bills with that, the little in between the line stuff that you just don't know about what it looks like to actually do business with a large company. Leveraging relationships with centers of influence on a local, regional, and national level. There are plenty of people who've got a social media following who they may not be celebrities, but they have influence. And if they get on their Instagram, we organize that influence together, and we've got to start a company that's launching a new product or a new service, and we organize these people and say, look, on this day, we need all 15 or 20 of you to tweet, Instagram, talk about what's going on with this founder in this community. We can organize that influence and start to create some real momentum in this community. Number 4, for any community to grow, you have to have a robust calendar of live and virtual events. A live event is where people come together and they look each other in the eye and say, brother, I like those shoes, man, you look good. I like this guy. I feel like this guy is authentic. We're connecting. That young lady really said something that spoke to me. I think we can build something together. That's where trust is built. And you've got to have that trust in order to grow. All four of those things together. Number 5, you have to have a robust online platform to really coordinate all those stories, capture the pictures, the video, so people know what's going on, white paper reports, people tied to the community, investors can find you, media can find you, and other founders can find you. And that's what we're doing in 2016, is we're taking what we've built in 2015 and really putting it inside of an online community so that that membership community can grow with founders. I'm Thomas K.R. Stovall, and that is what I do. Oh, so one last thing, as I leave the stage, let me know if you guys understand what I do, help me to grow. So text TLP to Chicago to 41411. You'll see a 1-question micro survey, take you about 30 seconds, and that's it.
Let's give him another round of applause. All right. I don't have any more jokes. Like, I'm kind of tired. Like, that Jumpman thing is exhausting. It's really exhausting. All right. But I have energy for these next 2 individuals. And I'm even more excited, and this isn't nothing against you, Brian, but I'm really excited about this woman, Rhea Steele, because when I see amazing women rocking out in the tech industry, it just gives me goosebumps. So a seasoned business executive, Rhea Steele is the co-founder of Blue Ocean Logic and the founding chairman of the Chatham Technical Institute, and has a career history spanning in more than 30 years in the technology industry. Her co-founder, Brian Powers, is also the executive director of the Chatham Technical Institute and retired from Bank of America after 30 years of service. Now, Blue Ocean Logic designs, implements solutions that support sales, marketing, and technology management efforts to small to large public or government organizations nationwide. The Chatham Technical Institute is a nonprofit research and development corporation with interest in design and management of economically viable, social responsible, environmentally sound, community-based programs that connect underserved communities to mainstream economies. Boom, hello, this is exciting. So without further ado, the woman and the man that are behind this great organization. You're welcome.
All right. We live in an internet economy. Global online commerce equals trillions of dollars every year. Over 95% of all working Americans use the internet as an integral part of their jobs. However, digital literacy is still needed. 28% of Americans don't use the internet at all. 32% of American households lack broadband access. Even more concerning, demographic groups such as in low-income groups, we look at seniors, we look at minorities, thank you, and we look at disabilities. They are lower in the income strata. My name is Rhea Steele, and I am the founder of Blue Ocean Logic and Chatham Technical Institute. And my partner, Brian Powers, and I are here to talk to you about digital community development, because digital community development is imperative. How do we train our digital literacy? How do we take digital literacy to our residents? How do we train them on digital literacy for our residents, our business owners, our communities, and our community institutions? Okay? In other words, what is digital literacy development? In 2010, Blue Ocean Logic was awarded a commerce grant, in 2010, Blue Ocean Logic was awarded a contract, 2-year contract funded by the Department of Commerce to support and expand broadband adoption in Chicago's underserved communities. The exciting part for us, the highlight for us, was that we were able to create and deploy digital curriculum working with community residents to use in their own communities, digital literacy fundamentals. To date, over 18,000 training seats have been filled using digital literacy fundamentals. Our contract ended in 2012, but digital literacy issues persist.
So, what is the digital community? The digital community is a fabric of interwoven networks, thank you, which make effective use of digital technologies to support the personal, professional, and business interests of their members. Digital infrastructure, digital citizens and consumers, digital businesses, and digital workforce, all interwoven into the fabric of what we call the digital community. Our digital literacy fundamentals curriculum was written to support a simple thought that if you learn how to use the internet effectively, you'll improve your life. After all, considering the fact that we had to convert a number of people with limited means and limited income, understanding that developing an understanding of digital literacy, improving your ability to become effective in our economy, became a value proposition that they could adopt. However, answering the question, how will becoming digitally literate improve my life? We created a curriculum that actually incorporated real-life examples and provided special interest support for our particular students. Having filled more than 12,000 seats by the end of 2012 and distributing more than thousands of certificates of completion to our students, we claim success in our efforts to create a number of digital citizens, digital consumers, and digital workers. However, let me share this with you. We became concerned when we realized that there was an increase in the number of online purchase deliveries that were coming into our communities. Our concerns for our community businesses grew. We quickly understood that it was imperative that we focus on digital business development as we look to improve the prosperity of the economies of our communities. However, the average profile of a community business owner doesn't include a lot of business technology experience. That being the case, we began to create digital business literacy curriculum to support these business owners. In partnership with community organizations across the city of Chicago, we began to deploy programming like Tech Thursdays, SMB Chicago, and B&B Salon Tech. We actually had that programming come in so that we could provide the necessary digital support for the business owners that needed to compete with the online purchases coming into the community. How do we actually make this happen? We engage local technology professionals, technology entrepreneurs like Bob Blackwell, to speak to small businesses within their audience. We include technology specialists that are engaged in a number of specialties like Heather Carper and Henri Parker, social media specialists, to provide their insight, knowledge, and in-depth understanding of the technology to business owners that are interested in their particular content. We develop printed and online content that's available for additional research for our participants to continue their learning after our events are over. And we ensure that the diversity of our programming is supported by diverse presenters and coaches so that our audience can relate fully and effectively to the content that's being delivered to them. We engage community organizations and government agencies to support the development of digital literacy community development in a manner that allows us to ensure that our audience receives the content that they so desperately need.
So the saying remains the same. It takes a village. Hey, village, we need each and every one of you to join us with your time, your talent, and your treasure. Our programming is free for residents and the business owners, but it's not free to produce. So we welcome sponsors to underwrite program development. We welcome presenters to work with our business owners who have content to share with their business owners. We need coaches to work with our business owners and their teams, and we invite technology professionals to come and share their products and services with our business owners to provide them the opportunities and the businesses and the programs that they need. So we ask you, we invite you to come and join our digital community. Please come aboard.
Let's give them another round of applause. All right, so I'm known for our shameless plugs. Here's couple one. I have a recommendation for you. You guys should have Patty, the marketing mentor, come on and talk to your small businesses. She helps with digital content strategy, everything. She's the bomb. Like, you can think of her like gladiators for entrepreneurs. ImBlackInTech, you should know Lawrence Watkins, who does Great Black Speakers and Financial Juneteenth. They're like doing huge things in the community. You guys need to know each other. Yeah, I did that. And another note, I want you guys to continue to participate on Twitter. My cool Apple Watch has not gone off, which means you guys aren't using the hashtag SBTE2016. Can we put this on the screen? Do you guys have that slide? It's really important for us to, number one, trend. That's a goal today, right? We want Black Tech Mecca to be trending on social media. But another thing is, this is how you're going to be able to ask our panelists questions. We only have one microphone, and it's going to be required for you guys to like get up and walk around, and I know you guys don't have a ton of energy. I worry you out with the DAP. So if you do it via Twitter, I can answer your question or have direct your question to one of our panelists. All right, so you guys have a hashtag? Do we need to do another exercise to get the hashtag going? Like, I'm tired. We burned a lot of calories with the DAP. So that hashtag is hashtag SBTE2016. Use that to have any questions, comments, concerns, or what have you. Just don't post the run in my pantyhose. Perfect. All right, up next, without further ado, Mr. Dominic Liddell. Dominic with a K, don't confuse it. He is a Chicago-based educator, web developer, entrepreneur who became active in the technology community in 2006, developing and marketing online social communities. He's also the founder of TechWhileBlack, a web development collective that leverages tech to create the opportunity to remove barriers for Blacks working and doing business in the technology industry. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out tonight. You all look very beautiful. If you love being Black, let me hear you say, I love being Black.
I love being Black.
No, I can't hear y'all. Let me hear that better. Come on.
I love being Black.
There we go. If you love Black people, whether you Black or not, let me hear you say it. I love Black people.
I love Black people.
One more time.
I love Black people.
All right, there we go. I started TechWhileBlack in 2014 because I love Black people. I love technology. It's made a huge difference in my life, and I want to make that accessible to other people. You're going to hear a lot of stats here tonight. You're not going to hear it from me. I'm here to tell you stories. Stories of what we've been doing and stories of where we're going. I'm here to invite you to join me in painting a picture of tech. Painting a picture where you see audiences like this, like you, This is why Coding While Black exists, for the people. We're not here for tech companies. We are here for black people, for the black community. We connect, we educate, and we empower. Let me tell you how we connect. Last year in 2015, we had 3 monthly events for black technology professionals, entrepreneurs, and learners. This year, we're kicking it up a notch. We're adding tech demos to our black professional events so we can show you the projects that we're working on in tech. So you can see the skills, not just the finished product, but how you get there. We're adding fireside chats so founders can come in and tell you their stories. We call them Founder in the Fire. We just had one yesterday. We brought in a photographer who built his own studio. We're partners. Had a full photography bay, full professional setup to tell us how we can get to that stage. And what he told us, something I kind of already knew. It's about passion. It's about knowing where you're going and being willing to get there, no matter what it takes. So when people ask me what I'm doing with Coding While Black, well, the answer is we're doing a lot. Our mission is to leverage technology to connect, educate, and empower blacks to propel their businesses and careers forward. And we're going to do that by any means possible. We held education events all over the city last year. We finally settled in at 1871. We taught a GitHub class last year for 13 students who had never had access to GitHub before. Now, if you're not familiar with GitHub or the command line, that's a very vital skill that you need to survive in tech today. But many of our community don't have this skill. And so that's where we start. We build those foundations. We don't just say, hey, learn how to code. We teach them what they need to know to learn how to code. We teach them what tech means. Because tech isn't just learning how to code. There's IT professionals. There's the project managers. There's the videographers, the photographers. And so we help people understand how to survive in tech and how to learn how to get into those roles. So you can help us do that by letting us know what careers you're in. How can we get in those careers? Come in and do a video with us. Help us write a career guide so we can continue to connect and educate. Join us on February 5th as we launch our CWB Fellows Program. We're paying 10 students to learn to code for a year. We're giving them laptops. We're paying their bus fare so they can come to work with us. They're going to work on active projects, on businesses in our community. And you can help us do that by helping us fill up their backpacks. We need laptops to put in those backpacks. We need stipends to give them. We need to make it more than an idea. We need your help to make it really happen. So on February 5th, we're going to announce our originating class, and we invite you to be there to meet them. And for those of you who aren't part of that class, but you still want to learn how to code, you're invited to come and learn what that means, to learn how to choose the right program for you, to learn how to choose the right path. So join us on February 5th at 1871. You can go to our website now, and you can register for that. Join us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Spread the word, because that's what we need. We need help spreading the word. We are a very small team. I've been able to hire, so now we're a team of 4, and we're doing a great job. Thank you. And we've really been taking off since I've been able to hire and grow. But we still need more to really make this happen. We empower the Black technology community. Earlier this year, I went to the Tech Week website, saw a sea of white faces. The first thing I did was email them, and I said, hey, I need to send some people to your event. We got the tickets, we sent them out, and we reported on what that experience was like so that the next people can know, you know, this is a great time. We had fun, and once we got there, we discovered there were plenty of black people that were there. We just didn't see them because there's an issue with visibility in technology. We've been in tech since the very beginning, but we need everybody to stand up, not just when it's flashy, not just when we're at Google. Come to our events. February 23rd, we're having an event, Taking Stock, Images of Diversity Online. And we're going to be talking about these issues where you see black faces, not just on the screen, but when you're looking at the videos and somebody's pointing, is that a black hand or a white hand? What difference does that make? How does that help us grow our businesses? So I invite you to join us for that. Go to our website and help us continue to paint this picture. I am Dominic Liddell, and I'm the founder of Coding While Black. We are here for the people, we are here for you, and we invite you to join us. On our website, you will find our upcoming communities, our upcoming programs. Please sign up, donate. We need speakers, we need writers, we need teachers, we need volunteers. Whatever skill you have, you can help us grow. You can help us make impact. Thank you. We are Coding While Black.
How do I come up here after such a great, I'm inspired. I'm gonna come and just figure out how to code, you know? Thank you for the work that you're doing. Who here has connections with computers? Anybody work for like Dell, Apple, hello? Anybody? Do you? Who said that? Like a decision maker in that industry. Okay, we need to figure out how to get this man 10 laptops. I mean, Best Buy. What's your name? Shayna Atkins gonna help you with that. You can get 10 computers out of this room. All right. Up next, last but certainly not least, can we please talk about how your iPad looks way better than mine? I didn't know that they had really big ones. All right, I wish I had yours. Donnell Layne is a co-founder of Bridging the Gap and technology visionary who is constantly seeking to break the next barriers in innovation. Smart as a whip, detail-oriented, and always pushing for excellence, Donnell is affectionately called Black Genius with an X. Bridging the Gap provides wireless broadband internet connections, managed services, and technology-focused training to underprivileged, underserved neighborhoods in Chicago and surrounding suburbs. The company was founded in 2014 by 4 dynamic technology leaders with more than 20 years of experience leading cross-functional teams. Welcome, and we're excited to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you. I have 3 things. First, I'm from New York, so you will hear this accent, and you might not understand me, but bear with me. Second, I'm carrying a TV. This is the first time I'm trying to use this thing as a small teleprompter, so if I mess up, I mess up. Third, give me a moment to take this in. This is what I wanted. I wanted to take a look. I know that person over there. I know that person over there. I just wanted to take it in. This is really important to me. It's a moment I'm having with you, you're having with me. Hi, everyone. My black people, my humans. Okay. Black to the future. So, I chose this title for a few different reasons, but one in particular, right? And that I would like us to consider today. So, I actually got it from this virtually unknown movie. I don't know if you ever heard from it, starred Michael J. Fox. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Anyway, Black to the Future is about the power to create your own reality when you seize control of the possibility, right? Is this thing on? Is this thing working? There you go. So who am I? And why are we talking about Black to the Future? So 4 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Julian Kidd and I we were sitting in a cold server room, and we were having a screaming conversation because the AC unit was so loud, right, talking about the economic outlook for black and brown kids in Chicago. And it was pretty grim, right? When we looked at the statistics, it was like 25% of Chicago's African American community was jobless, right? And that's compared to out of the nation's 5 most populous cities. Then we had whites coming in at 7% and Latinos coming in at 12%. So everyone's heard the numbers tonight. It's pretty dismal. So we actually decided to set out on a journey, that's me, to create new possibilities for our black and brown scholars to be exposed to both nature and technology. We didn't want to do one or the other. We actually wanted to do both, right? And we actually called it the NTT Initiative, which stands for Nature, Technology, and Tomorrow. So with that, Bridging the Gap was created. We founded it, and this is actually a picture from our 3rd annual fundraiser that helps us to continue to create programs through that. Now, although Tony Starks is actually my persona, in case you didn't notice or couldn't tell, I don't have the billions to go along with it, right? But we do have the genius. We do have that. And we know how to build lasers. So we figured, maybe we can use that talent to create a possibility to bring in additional funding for Bridging the Gap. But we understand that designing the future is a big job. So we have 2 other partners, 2 other founders, one by the name of John Kidd, Julian Kidd, John Kidd, get it? And then by the other one by the name of William Owens, who dedicated themselves, their time, their money, their efforts, in order to bring our dream into a reality. But we needed to decide what problem we were going to focus on. I mean, you've heard it tonight. There's a lot of problems that are out there. So what do? Let's take a look at some data. Up here, you'll see that countries with high-speed broadband, America's dead last in terms of cost. This is being the most expensive. And you notice that that little bar, that yellow bar, is in reference to how much actual speed you get for that money compared to places like South Korea. Then we looked at broadband adoption rates by income. Uh-oh. The lower the income, the less likely you are to adopt high-speed broadband. So, Jarvis, we have a problem. If you didn't know, that was another Iron Man reference. And we call this problem the digital divide. Why is this such a problem? Who cares, right? Like, who cares if you have internet? Anyone care if they had internet in here tonight? Right, everybody did probably. So the problem is that without equal access to the internet today, you are essentially cut off from opportunities. You can barely apply for a job online, and you are slowly being moved out of the job pool if you don't have the necessary skill sets to pick up a job today. Another thing, another statistic. Approximately 100 million Americans are without broadband access today. Did anyone know that? That number kind of staggers me. 1/3 of our population. And a disproportionate number of those individuals happen to be, guess what? Persons of color, low income, and typically they don't get their high school degree or their college degree. So some people have noticed this, not only us, right? So Google's doing everything that they can do to bring high-speed broadband to particular areas of the United States. but they can't do it all, right? It's really expensive. And in the Midwest region, we're currently going through a financial crisis. We saw it happen in Detroit. We see it happening in Indiana. And looking at our great home, Chicago, we see it happening here as well. So what do? So we created a for-profit company called Crimson Technology Group. Right? And then we used our talents. Okay, yo. We used our talents to provide low-cost, high-speed broadband, right? And we had this new idea. But we understand that it takes a village. So randomly at 1871, I ended up meeting Fabian, Elliott, and Bruce Montgomery, and we were having a conversation, and they mentioned that they had poor internet access at the company, at the Greater Inglewood CDC. And so we said, hey, we can help with that. And guess what? We did just that. We actually ended up providing them high-speed broadband that was 33 times faster than the current connection, right? Thank you. But then that got us thinking, hey, why don't we do this for the entire community? Why are we just stopping with this one building? So this is what we started to whiteboard. Hey, can we come up with a plan? And so we looked at wireless mesh networking, which is not some brand new out-of-the-box like technology. It's something that's been around for a while, and we kind of wonder, why is this not happening in our community? So instead of standing around wondering, we just decided that we're going to do it. With the Greater Inglewood CDC building the community and KTG providing the high-speed broadband, we started to have an idea of a new future, of a new possibility. And the reason why this new possibility is so important to me, so my family, much of this starts with belief, right? Like, you have to believe first before you do anything. So during my childhood, my family, homeless, then we went on to Section 8, but one thing remained. My mother, where's the camera? Layne, I'm saying her name because I'm sure she's gonna think this is awesome. She always instilled in us to never stop dreaming. So even while sleeping on a cot in a New York City homeless shelter, singing to my brother to help him get to sleep because he was afraid, I never gave up that idea that I could create my own reality, which then turned into me graduating from an Ivy League, and then that other school in the Midwest. We know we have the power to create our reality, right? And so this is what this is about now, creating our reality. Since we're going to stand around and talk about it, since we're going to give you the data, since we're going to crunch it and talk about how many of our people are unemployed, well, it's time to change that. And that's what we're doing. And so what do we need? Isn't that the question? What do we need? So the numbers we ran, we have to raise somehow in total $2 million so that we can focus like a laser on Inglewood and the surrounding communities in Chicago that need this type of broadband access. We started a GoFundMe campaign that we're going to provide the link to Black Tech Mecca, and if they are kind enough, hopefully they can share it with the community. And we just started with $150K. That would get us 6 months to a year with providing the free broadband access to Inglewood. Thank you. And then second would be human resources. Of course, we all talked about, you heard numbers, you know, a team of 4, we have a team of 4. We need more people. There's only so much time in the day. There's only so many things that you can actually do before you pass out. Right? I'm sure we all know this. So, one, marketing. I think I heard branding earlier somewhere, right? And technical support. We actually want to be able to hire more students, more college students, more high school students, folks that think that school is not the answer for them. We want to be able to bring them in and hire them, right, and have them working. And we're going to, so if 50% of our African-American males are unemployed, then we should be focusing on building businesses ourselves to hire them instead of pulling people over and saying, hey, hire my boy. I don't understand that. Let's take control and help us build lasers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I didn't know Kappas were so smart. I thought you guys were just all pretty. But you proved them wrong. All right, so do you want my shameless plug news or the really exciting news first? Shameless. Okay, so I got to give a shout out to my friend Lawrence, who helped me calm my nerves with some secret sauce. Appreciate you. Because I was very nervous. I'm always really nervous, in case you guys didn't know I'm human. Second shameless plug. I like to promote a black-owned business here in Chicago. How many of you guys drive cars? Drive cars. Who here needs a car? You need a car? Okay. You need a car in the back? You get a car. You get a, no, I'm just joking. That would have been great. Wouldn't you like that if I said you get a car? But if you need a car, this guy over here, can you wave your hand? He owns one of the largest African-American owned Toyota and Chrysler Jeep and Dodge dealerships. There are, what's the statistics of black-owned dealerships? Just, yeah. There's less than 2%. So can you think about this for a minute? Raise your hand again, who has a car? Can you believe that less than 2% of us actually sell them? I'll leave y'all with that. So I'm gonna share some good news. You ready for this? All right. Guess who's trending on Twitter? All right, so what I want you guys to do with that is, now you need to start tagging me in those posts so I can trend too. So it's Micae Brown. All right, so now I'd like all of our panelists to come up, take a seat on the stage. And this is the time where you in the audience get to ask why Kappas are smart and pretty. You get to talk about how you can get involved with Black in Tech. You can tell our man right here how he can get computers for these kids. And you can ask Fabian where he got his shoes from. So remember, use the hashtag, let me figure it out again, SBTE 2016. It's going to come up. Well, I see it right there. That's interesting. So cool. But we'll also have it up here, hopefully. If you would like to personally ask a question, and I would love for us to engage them too so they can see, hey guys, where are you going? The good part of the program just started. I'm like, in church when the pastor calls you out because you got to pay your tithes and you walk out. We're not asking for donations today. There is a microphone right here, so when you want to ask a question, you can come up to the microphone. I'll call on you. I also have the power to cut your microphone off if you're long-winded. And Brian and I, this guy right here, we created a secret pit. So if you are talking too long, the floor will open up and you will go underneath the building, just so you know. Isn't that right, Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm supposed to start it off, but because you're standing there at the mic, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, no, I was getting in place to make sure everyone knew that where it was at.
But you don't have a question to ask? Don't you want to engage with me?
I'll ask one, actually. I'll start off. No,
okay, awesome.
So for the crew up here, it was all great speeches. I guess my major question would be is what would you guys do in regarding to reaching out to folks who start way at the bottom, who can't even get access to events or even know of events like this, jobs in the tech industry? I know Coding While Black is doing something like that, but who can actually pay for those classes, who don't have a grant or so, to really get going and learning the technical skills? Because for me, I know I have cousins who went to Kenwood High School and they want to learn some coding, but their mama can't drop $1,000 to do it. But there's great black people that are hosting these classes. How would you go about, paying the bills for your facilities, but also leveraging that for the black kids out there?
Thank you for asking. One of the things that we're working on is our Propel Tech Academy. We call it Propel Tech because that's what we're planning to do is propel tech forward by creating convenient, affordable classes. So we have online classes that we're developing that will be delivered free. We will have some premium courses as well. And then we have local classes that we do. We are on hiatus right now with our local classes, but our free classes will be returning in March. So that's what our mission is that convenient, affordable education.
Round of applause. All right, so I got a shout out on my Apple Watch. Tech Biz Girl. Thanks, girl, for the shout out on Twitter. Appreciate you. Maya Patterson says, as a young black designer in tech, what can I do to participate in organizations like TechWhileBlack?
You can join us. We are looking for volunteers to help us, especially in the design area. Our team is very code heavy, so we do need design help. We're looking for volunteers. You can go to our website and sign up for that on our contact form. Thank you.
Aren't you popular? I mean, I really loved her. Yeah, you really killed it. All right, I need to take some lessons from you. So Rick Goober Jr., is there a way that broadband will be sustainable, or will it always be reliant on donations, grants, et cetera? That's a good question.
It is. It's a tough question. So currently, broadband is basically controlled by these major corporations, particularly because they have money. And in order to connect the world, you sometimes have to trench under the ocean. You have to trench everywhere because primarily we're connected using wires, right? So there is a new technology that's it's slowly gaining traction where it's allowing you to basically create ad hoc connections to other devices, right? And by creating these ad hoc connections, you actually don't tether into these larger major carriers, but you actually just use your peer-to-peer connections, if you will. That has a lot to do with trust, and we already know what's happening with technology and trust and data issues, right, and data breaches. So it's going to happen soon, but it will coincide with security, right? Once we are at the point where we can protect our data, and no one's no longer scared of putting their data out there, that's when we'll see folks sharing these connections. And then in a room like this, everyone would have access to high-speed broadband, but no one will be paying for it. So, yeah.
Cedric McKay, thanks for the follow. Personally, appreciate you. Brett Jobs, this is to you, Fabian. What tech companies or people based outside of Chicago have reached out to you or your organization, particularly Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so it's been really exciting how the momentum has really moved forward. I'd say because Silicon Valley is just looking a bit at the U.S. We've had international attention. One of our partners, Ampion, I think I just saw them on the screen. They do venture buses throughout the continent of Africa. So they do 7 buses across 4 different regions in Africa. And they actually had the Black Tech Mecca banner on their bus for last year. So representing for Chicago, we were riding around Nigeria. So it was pretty cool. But as far as Silicon Valley, I'd love to hear anyone else touch on it. But we, of course, individuals, we all have our personal networks. I don't know how many formal conversations that anyone's had with people in Silicon Valley. A lot of the major Silicon Valley companies have a presence here in Chicago, and I know that there's a lot of dialogue happening on that front.
I like it. All right, Thomas and Rhea, what are some of the most common issues you see entrepreneurs at varying stages facing, and what is the root issue?
I'll start with that. Some of the common issues are that you start a business and you don't have a plan. You're very excited about a product or service that you want to deliver, so you go right out and do it. For example, I started in corporate America, and that's an entrepreneurship role in corporate America, but you get really excited and then you get out there and you decide, I don't have the infrastructure, I don't have the resources, I'm still me, I do the same thing that I did in corporate America, why aren't the doors opening? So you really need to get a plan, take some connections, talk to other people. Mentoring is something that's very important. But think before you jump out there. And this environment is wonderful because now we have resources. we can talk to each other so you can migrate into starting your business as opposed to just jumping into the water?
So I definitely always start with blueprints. I mean, things that are tactical, objective, grounded. You have to know where you're going to be able to get there. You know, so starting with the end in mind. But I think where a lot of people, the small things that people don't do, follow up. You know, you meet somebody, you get all these business cards. Most people just never follow up. And so it's really the simple things. If you become somebody who always follows up every single time, you know, it doesn't take long before the good gossip begins to spread, and then people have met you here, and people have met you here. And in a town like Chicago, it seems big. It's really not that big, you know. And if you just do the small things. And a second thing is that we, in our community, we really don't know how to be mentored. You know, we're not taught it. I didn't have my first mentor until I was 30, and we talk about mentorship like it's just kind of a good idea. It's mandatory if you're going to be able to build something. And a lot of times we're first generation. We don't have somebody to look to that has done it before, and we don't know that we need to go and find people that are, you know, they've produced the outcome we're trying to produce already, and figure out a way to get on their team. So it's really critical that we learn how to be mentored, and what it looks like is trust. You know, because when somebody has done it before, if you knew how to do it, you'd have done it already, so it doesn't make sense at the time. And you know, it's high cost when you have to ask a million questions first, and sometimes you just got to go and do what they say, and you'll learn what you need to learn in the doing of the thing, and then you come back with educated questions. So a couple small things.
Okay. Couple more shameless plugs. I don't discriminate, so shout out to anybody that's Black and Greek. So that's alphas, deltas, AKAs, sigmas. Yes, so all of y'all that clapped, all of y'all organizations be giving this guy computers for the kids, because that's what you guys do. Volunteer work. So see you back there, all of y'all. We got you on tape. And then there's two questions. One on my Apple Watch. I'm going to go here. Apple needs to be paying me, because I said Apple so many times. You know? Okay, so we need to talk to them about that. It said, oh, it just turned off. Where can we go to expose more youth to critical thinking apps? Huh. Interesting. Where could we go to expose more youth to critical thinking? Table that, and I'll talk about it on Saturday on my show. Next question. Girls Like Me Project says, how can we leverage tech to connect Black girls in Chicago to girls globally, like Ghana, Nigeria, and Liberia in particular? That goes to the whole panel. You want to answer it?
Yeah, you know, there's this small company that has this great tool. It's called like Google Hangouts. It's absolutely free, and it's amazing. It's like one of these like technologies. It's an absolute disruptor. You know, they use YouTube to provide free access. So connecting classrooms, buildings, homes, right? Like from here to anywhere else in the globe, as long as those places have what? High-speed broadband, you can then start, like it's a flat earth now. You guys heard that, right? This whole, right? So if we're talking free, we're talking YouTube, Google Hangouts. It's an absolute phenomenal program. So that's my answer.
My apologies to you guys that are standing up. The light is so bright, and then it got me concentrating on the screen. I got this Apple Watch thing, you know, it's a lot going on, so I'm so sorry you're waiting.
Oh yeah, no worries.
And go ahead. So there's someone behind you that has to go. Do you mind letting her go first?
I don't have to go. That was my question. I'm Girls Like Me Project.
Awesome.
I just wanted him to expand because we know.
Let her get to the mic.
Yep.
We know about Google Hangouts. We know about all of the other ways that we can do it. However, the question is, how do we leverage, like you said, maybe where we're going in Ghana, maybe they don't have the access. So how do we, here in Chicago, partner with those who can help us reach those people who
We would probably have to create a project to go over there and build or create the high-speed broadband.
Girls Like Me Project is looking for those who would love to partner with us to do that.
Yes.
That means they need money,
Absolutely.
people. That's when you contact our treasurer, Kurt Summers.
Exactly, I love
I'm
this.
being for real. All right, go ahead.
How's it going? My name is Joshua Chestang. Actually, she kind of touched on something that I'm really passionate about, which is learning how we could organize the Black wealth and actually utilizing that wealth to create more opportunities for investing in startups. So I was just curious, to the panelists, what are you guys doing, or what can we do to organize that wealth for investments?
almost want to go rogue on this because there's somebody in the audience that can answer this, because his brother does this thing called the Black Wealth Boot Camp, and his name is Boyce Watkins. You gotta look him up, really powerful. He does like all these really cool vignettes, and he just talks about how he really wants to get people off the corporate plantation. But I'm sure Lawrence isn't gonna come up and answer the question, are you? Okay, I didn't think so. So,
Well, one of the platforms that we have is the Black Entrepreneur Nexus, and that's to connect entrepreneurs with exactly what you're saying, wealth building opportunities and economic stability. So we've actually already started building businesses, or helping to build businesses, who are all starting to reinvest in the community and keeping those dollars in our community.
but in addition to that, you have to remember that there has to be a foundation. You know, like you gotta have a solid foundation, and the solid foundation starts with you. So there's a guy named Adam Farmer that does that. Is he here? Look, people get shout outs and they leave, right? But whatever. You got to look him up, because I feel like all the people that I'm mentioning, like, they're actually legit, and you got to put all these pieces together. It just doesn't stop with like one organization. Like, you need multiple people to help people code. So all of us have to come together and kind of share resources. #leverage.
Right, definitely. Which is kind of what I'm getting at is, you know, what's out there. I know Fabian, we're trying to do something cool with that, you know, but I see that, okay, we're looking for investments outside of our community a lot of times, which isn't necessarily efficient, nor is it necessarily paying off all the time.
Can I speak to that? Because, I mean, I definitely agree with you 100%. I think all we need is actually in our community right now. And one of the things that, so I spoke to 5 points. Number 2 was consistent access to capital. And for me, what that looks like is, so we're doing the Founder Series and the Corporate Series. In 2016, we're also going to be adding what we call the Investor Series, where we're going to have private rooms, 25, 30 people, accredited investors, and some will be people of color. Others will be people that are just interested in investing in people of color. Because I've spent a lot of time talking to investors over the last year in this community. And what I've noticed is there's a lot of people that kind of are hovering around. A lot of people aren't cutting checks. And when you dig in and ask, it's an interesting thing. Some people actually want to invest in startups and don't know how. They literally have money and have never invested in a tech startup and want to get behind this community, but they don't know how to invest, and they're embarrassed to say so, right? So it's a different concept. So what we're going to do is actually have people that have done it, that can lay out a blueprint for how to do it in a way that makes sense, and have these rooms, 25, 30 people, where they can go through the same type of training, and we get that money tied to our community, and we also, at the same time, are vetting entrepreneurs that are ready for an investment when they come to the table. So it's not just, nobody wants to invest in just anything. So we gotta have the right entrepreneurs at the table, people who actually want to put their money in play and train them how to do it. And at the end, hopefully we'll have 3 or 4 companies that start to get funded. But that's what it looks like to me, like really, really tangible.
Thank you so much, Thomas.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing. Questions like yours are important, and a lot of questions here, and I don't want to put any more work on Fabian, but Black Tech Mecca would be a good clearinghouse for us to get the questions in, so we know who is interested in what. So then in that group, that connect point of organizations, we can actually identify who can help you or what members can help each other. So not just today, but go on the website, sign up, send the information, and we can follow up after that.
Thank you. Next guest.
Hi, how are you? My name is Scott Boyd. Excuse me. I just have a question about access to capital and also the connection between the access to capital that non-tech businesses don't have, and how that would help build those communities in leveraging some investment and access to building tech companies in these areas, in these deprived areas. And how do you think differently about building up the core businesses? 'Cause I'm only standing here because my dad bought a TRS-80, and I don't know if any of you know what that is, right. But that's Radio Shack's first computer. So he was a dentist and a Kappa too. So just your thoughts on that, and how, really underlying that, the normal bread and butter businesses don't have the access to capital that they need to, hence their children, their employees in those areas too. So it's any situation there.
So is the question, how do we address access to capital for the non-technology businesses in the community?
Correct.
Okay. That becomes a critical question, because one of the things that we're starting to see is a lot of predatory lending that are going on across Chicago's primarily lower income communities, middle lower income communities. As business owners need working and operating capital, they have to go to extreme measures in many cases to generate that capital. Realistically, what's important is that business owners fully understand some of the fundamentals of their business. In many cases, not understanding those fundamentals keeps them from being bankable. Now, I'm not saying that banks are the place that you need to go to get the funding that you need for your business, because in many cases that's not going to happen. But what I'm saying about being bankable is we're starting to see an increase in the number of micro lenders that are coming up. Axion, NIH, and others in the community that are focusing on providing operating capital and also real capital investments for business owners to be able to get $5, $50, $200,000, in some cases bridge loans, so that they can keep their businesses running. But what's often keeping these businesses back is that they don't fully understand the operations of their business. They don't understand what it costs to take a product out to the street. They don't understand what it means to invest in the right direction for the business. So I think that when you start talking about the micro lenders that are coming up, that are supporting our community, and we're seeing that growth, if anybody needs access to those, you can contact me and I'll give you the URLs to those firms. But what's important is that these organizations are not only reviewing the applications, but they're providing the necessary training so that the businesses are ready when their applications are approved. It's not an easy process, but it's a very real and growing process within our communities. That predatory lending stuff is a real problem. And I think our treasurer is addressing some of that as we speak.
He absolutely is. And I'm a huge supporter of microlending. Axion, they're one of my partners, love them. But one other thing we forgot to mention is equity crowdfunding. And we'll be talking about that. Jamal Jackson of Jackson Corporate Law Offices, who's in the building, is going to be discussing that Saturday between 5 and 6 on WVLN 1690 AM. That can be heard on iHeartRadio anywhere in the nation. But that is another option, equity crowdfunding as well. Get the people involved. So it's like a community that supports the businesses. So you could be an equity partner in your local grocery store, in your local weave shop, or whatever the case may be. That's what you can do. All right. Thank you. Next person. Oh, and shout out to, hold on, Miss Girls Like Me for the follow. Thank you, wherever you are.
Hello, my name is Art Norman. I'm with NBC News, but I'm the former president of the National Association of Black Journalists, and what we're doing here tonight should be on television.
Absolutely.
Because if there was a crime somewhere, the TV cameras would be here. Yep. And some of the things that I've heard tonight, and I just want to, Brother Elliott, I just want to thank you for putting this together. I wanted to know how much toil, sweat, and tears made this night possible, because we must replicate it again. And I just want to use, you gave a little hint about a shameless plug, Brother Fabian over here. This is a brain trust of Toyota, who helps with the design technology on all those high-tech cars, and he's here tonight, and that's more than a shameless plug. He came to NBC, and he did an interview, and the folks at Telemundo said, hey, you have anybody who can speak Spanish? He says, I can speak Spanish, and I'm fluent in it. And he turned around and did the same interview after doing with me. He did it on Telemundo in Spanish. Nice job, my brother. Keep up the good work. Smart guy. I want Brother Elliott, tell me about how you put this together, and what kind of help did you get from the Brain Trust at Google? I've been around the folks at Google. I've seen the CEO of Google and the founder of Google apologize and tell the folks at the Rainbow Push Convention there's going to be a change and it's going to involve a lot of diversity. How easy was it for you to make this night happen?
Yes. So great question for sure. The interesting thing about it is, we talk a lot about Chicago today, and the support it took, not only financially, but from the leadership and the powers that be, was right here in Chicago. So we're talking a local budget, that was used to be able to produce things, local leadership signing off. And so I think that really goes back to a point that Donnell was making as far as how we can start to chart our own destiny. And we have resources, right here in our backyard that we can take advantage of and be able to deploy as needed.
So as easy as he made this seem, it wasn't.
Oh, yes.
And he's going to give out some more shout outs. But I do have 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and I have some people in line. And don't cut us off kind of like they do at concerts, because I really want these questions answered. So come on. Just know that we got.
Okay, real quick. I'm Steve Philpott. I'm the Social Ventures Fellow at the Center for Neighborhood Technology. I'm also a program director for a number of their community engagement type technology ventures. Here's the question. In 10 years, venture capital is now funding 50%, half of their funds are 50% black. Are they funding more technology that is focused on the issues in the neighborhood or issues that are around the world and mainstream, and how do you keep that money flowing toward as a resource to fix the neighborhoods?
There are social impact funds that that are available out there, but it's not the leading force. That's kind of a small piece of it. But just to give you a little snapshot. So what I do, I kind of struggle with things like that, because I could repurpose my software right now and be tracking feedback on the neighborhood level, block by block, talking about crime. If there's a drug deal going down 2 doors down, you want to send that anonymously and goes direct to your police precinct. I could do that, right? But I'm not gonna be able to make any money, right? And who's gonna cut that check? And for me, I haven't seen a lot of huge support for the social impact. It's a narrative that's out there, but it's not moving as quickly as traditional venture capital. So, it's a tough play.
You said 10 years from now, right? So if 10 years from now we have 50% of the capital from venture funds, then it's going to be a different environment. I don't know if we're still focused on the neighborhood issues, because 10 years from now, with 50% of those funds, the neighborhood issues should at least be minimized. But we should see corporations grown at that point. We should see large-scale tech companies that are doing things with like water pollution across the globe, right? Like there's a billion different problems that we all need to solve. And the reason why we're focusing on this first is because it's the only way we can get out of it. And we have to focus on this in order to get out of it before we can start to lend our hand to the global issues. And I think that's when we'll see it. We do it now, but it's like that one guy or the 2 guys in the room, right?
Thank you. Next.
Yo.
Had to drop a shameless plug. My name is Victor Gully. I run a company called A Taste of Theater. And my question to you is, we had our app which allows you to find any play in the country by zip code, coded overseas. What we like to do is bring our 2.0 release back here to the United States. And we're hoping that you guys can recommend some students or something that we can help code that. So I was wondering if any of you guys could talk to us and let us know who can we hire to help get this thing done.
Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's good.
So I think everybody should say how you can get in touch with everyone. Just give them your information. And so we can go. But some new people got on the line. Okay, that's fine. The line's cut off now, though. So you guys want to give your contact information, maybe your Twitter handle, and then you can like tweet back your info?
We're at TechWhileBlack on Twitter.
I have your card already.
All right.
You find us at ImBlackInTech. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody. My name is Randis Hopkins, and I am a student at Northern Illinois University.
Woo!
And I am studying jazz piano and community leadership and civic engagement. And I first want to say that I'm very deeply inspired by all of you and your stories. And I would like to know, what is, one of the greatest life lessons that you've learned, throughout doing the work that you do?
Good question.
Never give up. Never give up. Even if it looks like it's over, if God put that dream inside of you, then He's already given you everything that you need to make it happen. So just be still and know and keep going forward, and it will happen.
Hello, good evening. My name is Anna Bethune. I'm co-founder of Brave Initiatives. We teach girls how to code and solve community issues.
Woo!
I want to commend Fabian. You did a wonderful job putting on this great event. But I do have one question for everyone here. If you look at the panel, you'll see that there's only one woman. So my question
I
for
didn't even
you,
tell her to say that.
and of course, our lovely moderator, of course. So my question for you is, what else can be done to support women in tech and women entrepreneurs in tech?
Ooh.
So I could take the first stab.
Okay. Let's be real and just talk about what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah. So, I mean, optics. Like I would have been surprised if we left the room and no one did publicly call out, you know, the situation that's happening up here. And you know, on our front, the people, the great speakers we had today were the folks that were, you know, willing and available, you know, to participate. However, our outreach was balanced, you know, in trying to diversify and get as many perspectives as possible. But what I think it really comes down to is that we need more organizations that are focused on, you know, that particular niche. As far as blacks are underrepresented in tech, but to Anna's point and other people doing work, black women are even more underrepresented. And I feel like, you know, they have their own unique challenges that you need organizations to be able to target and to address. And they need their own mentorship systems and their own special attention for some of their issues. And I think that's what we're lacking right now when I look across, you know, the ecosystem. And that's one thing, if we were able to focus some effort on there, I think it could move us in the right direction.
Can I just say, Fabian is so nice and so politically correct. Can I be real with you? They reached out to several women and they did not participate. They dropped the ball, they didn't respond, or whatever the case may be. So shame on us for not leveraging the opportunity that they received. So now we know the Black Tech Mecca is the SHIT. Sucks that you didn't participate, but I bet you'll be emailing them to come on next time, and like we'll just redo it, right? So we'll do like a redo and make sure that it's full of women. Maybe the next one should just be all women in tech.
Why not?
Challenge.
Why not?
All right, so I'm 4 minutes and 12 seconds over, and you know, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Who likes to do daps and drink beer? No? Like Thursday is the new Friday. Let's be clear, we all work from home on Friday. We come in at 10 o'clock. Thursday, new Friday. So Fabian, can you please tell us about the daps and beer and close us out? And don't forget about what we were going to do for D.
Oh, yes. So.
D, come here. D, come here.
Bring
D, come here. D.
So Art was getting at it
on the stage.
As far as, you know, how much does it take to put this on? Like most of the organizations on stage, you know, time is limited, and Black Tech Mecca, we're an all volunteer organization as well. There's no paid folks that are, you know, working on this. No one's making any money to be able. You might see some people in T-shirts. They ain't getting paid a thing. I'm not getting paid anything. We're volunteering our time in the sliver of our full-time jobs, other commitments, and things of that nature. However, while our whole team is absolutely phenomenal, everyone out here, you got a lot of great emails, probably perfect language, everything. This woman here, D.
Let's stand up for a round of applause.
D was the champion behind Run the Show, getting the speakers. So the speakers kept all of us in check, got everyone here, led communications. And so everyone, there was a lot of contributions tonight, but D's contributions definitely took the cake and helped us to be able to put this on. So, thank you.
She was like, don't you call me out. I'm like, girl, she did such a great job. They all did such a great job. Let's give Black Tech Mecca another round of applause.
Yeah, but we didn't get to Bar Taquito.
But before Bar Taquito.
Oh yeah, we got some other things too.
All right, another rogue moment. This guy is so talented. I had a show on last Saturday and a guest didn't show up and they were supposed to do a poem. And this guy did one of the most inspirational poems that I think I've ever heard live on the spot. You know, I put people on the spot. And I said, you should do this because it really did affect me in a positive way. Didn't it affect you? It was great. So can you please close us out with the poem, and then we can talk about taquito.
Hold on. So I feel like we need to end on a high note with the poem.
Oh, and
maybe
then so taquito first.
Yeah. So maybe we get some of the business out of the way.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
then business taquito. Hey, get some of that out of the way, and then we can close with the poem. However, just to close things out, thank you everybody for making this night special. These are the early stages. A lot of our organizations are fairly new. Honestly, we launched back in June, so we're still definitely an infant, and I think what's been most warming, you guys can probably agree, is the support that has came from the community and how enthusiastic the Black community has been, with tech. And if they're not in tech, they want to get in tech or find out how to get into it. If you are, you're like, finally, people are doing cool events that we can go to. And so it's been amazing. So I thank you guys. And our next steps coming out of this for Black Tech Mecca, we'll be focused on two main initiatives. So one is research. So we talk about the ecosystem. However, one of the main things that are missing is no one actually has a universal tracking mechanism for us to actually know what is the health of the ecosystem. So we're working with our research partners to do some macro level analysis to be able to know what are those KPIs, or what are the triggers we should be looking at that indicate how is the Black tech ecosystem doing here in Chicago. So that's going to be a huge focus for us on the research side. And also on the product development side, you heard us talk about a lot of the different online platforms that we're creating, and the one we're developing as well to execute on our mission is the ecosystem network. And so that platform is going to allow us to do exactly what's in our infographic as far as people being that clearinghouse. So people could come and join the online platform, get access to people within the ecosystem, all the organizations and all the resources, and be able to leverage that. So that's super exciting. And unfortunately, this is probably more of the bad news, our next big event. So our next big event, we're going to pull it all together for our 1-year anniversary on June 23rd. So you guys have some time to catch a breather and catch up from all the action tonight and get ready for that. You're going to need that, huh, Art? Yeah, same here, brother. But okay, so that's what we have going on. And so as we were talking about bar taquito, so after this, the fun doesn't have to stop here. We have to leave the Google office, but we can take the party to the bar taquito. And it's right down the street by Lake Street. So just a couple blocks down the way. And so I guess that's all the business, and we can move to the poem.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry. I want to address something, and this person brought up a really good point. I can't find the tweet because I'm like, this Apple Watch thing, I'm trying to get used to it. But someone just tweeted and said that African-American women in technology do face confidence issues, and that's true. They may not be confident enough to step up, and that kind of like makes me sad, because we're freaking awesome as Black women. Like, Black women are the shit, like, we're awesome. We're so strong. We're talented. Like, we run households, we cook, we clean, we don't crack. It's awesome. So whoever you are and whatever you're doing in tech, don't be ashamed. And like, I will be the first to tell your story. You could be on my show first. Like, don't be ashamed, okay? All right. Sorry.
All right, cool. No problem. So as Micae mentioned, you should go check out our show, her show that I said the poem on last Saturday, where the unique thing was I don't even share my poetry with anybody. And so the fact that it's now like been on live TV, and now I'm gonna say it again here, is definitely, I'm out of my element a bit. But hey, let's close it out strongly. So it's a super short one. And what I did on the show, and I'd ask everyone here to do is just briefly close your eyes, and I promise it'll be painless. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, keep your eyes closed. Okay. Imagine a world where possibilities are endless. Imagine a world where limits don't exist. Imagine a world where dreams are created. Imagine a world where visions are fearless. Imagine a world where rules are overrated. Imagine a world where conformity is outdated. Imagine a world where joy is the focus. Now imagine if I told you your world is exactly just this. That's it.
Like, y'all can stand up for that. Is that it?
Yeah, Bar Taquito.
Woo!
Hey. Appreciate it.
Hey, good job.
You guys killed it. Mike's still on. Great job today.